Hello, and welcome to Palindrome ASMR. You know, I think I should probably find a good opening. A good opening to say, like, yo, what's up? Or, hello, it's McJuggernuggets here. Or, Boogie2988 coming at you live from the power of the internet. Or something like that. Anyways, today I'm going to be playing with some, hair rollers. First I have a story about hair rollers before I get into the opening of the hair rollers. So I went to an art school, Orange County School of the Arts. Orange County High School of the Arts, actually. It was called Orange County High School of the Arts. And then its name changed to Orange County School of the Arts, which most people didn't like because OSHA sounds better than OXA. So that was a little tangent. They had various conservatories like writing, music. They had creative writing, instrumental music, visual arts, classical dance, commercial dance, traditional dance. And of course, they had acting. It was called, I forgot what it was called, but it was the acting department, the acting conservatory. And the acting conservatory put on plays. About twice a year, they put on a play. And several times, I actually played in the pit orchestra of those plays. It was grueling. We had to stay until 10 o'clock doing play stuff, practicing. I play the clarinet, or I used to play the clarinet. I still can, but I haven't touched the instrument in a month. But we had plays, and one of the plays that we had was Oklahoma. Or we often did plays like Oklahoma, Anything Goes. I think those were the two that happened while I was there. We often did plays that were set in the 1920s or around that time. And around that time, the fashion was for women to have curls in their hair. And so all of the actors who played women, anyone who was a female cast character would have to have their hair curled. And so for the weeks following up and for the weeks before the play, the weeks leading up to the play, you would see these girls walking around campus with hair curlers in their hair. Most of them were pink. I don't know why they're pink. Why our hair curl was pink. I don't know, but that's the punchline of the story. That because of the play, we would see for a couple of weeks girls walking around school with hair curlers in their hair. And so that's one of the reasons why I picked this out of the myriad objects in the dollar store. So but that was essentially my story, the reason why I picked these hair curlers. Warning: to avoid danger of suffocation, keep this bag away from babies and children. Do not use in cribs, beds, carriages, and playpens. This is not a toy. Not before throwing away. Imported by, made in China. Of course it's made in China. Of course it's made in China. There's no way it wouldn't be. This is an aside. China is slowly going to become less of a manufacturing center. 50 years ago, I'm launching into another story here. 50 years ago, China was like the Africa of today. Whereas Africa was still under colonial control back then. Apartheid and colonialism, but that's a whole nother story. But China, in the 1950s, China suffered a state-imposed communist famine that lasted for about 2 years and killed 40 million people. So 50 years ago in China, 40 million people starved to death. And now, today, 60 years ago now, no, 50 years ago, from 1959 to 1961, was Mao's Great Famine. If you want to know more about it, Google it. Mao's Great Famine. Conservative estimates of death are 20 million. Liberal estimates of death are 40 million. It was a state-caused famine, like the Soviet famine, except this one was much bigger in scope because of China's population. And then after that, they had the horrors of the Cultural Revolution. You know, this is a tangent of a tangent, but during the Cultural Revolution, a good portion of China's cultural history was destroyed because of this decree by Mao Zedong, the perpetrator of this disaster, who decreed, "Out with the old, in with the new." That was the slogan. And so local kids, local students would climb up onto 1,000-year-old chapels and rip the roofing tiles off, and they would crush these ancient monuments to Chinese cultural history and use them as filling for making a dam. I think the Three Gorges Dam, I don't know if it's the Three Gorges Dam or another dam, but several dams in China were made with crushed relics. Were literally made they were filled with crushed historical monuments. Cultural history was eviscerated and turned into little more than filling for a concrete dam. It's really sad, but I was going with this is that China had okay, it's not going to be India. India has a socialist government system that really hinders the production of goods. They adopted the first world governance philosophy, which is the reason why many businesses are leaving America. It's because of the restrictive minimum wage laws and meal and rest breaks and compensation pay and the risk of getting sued. But I think Africa, or at least some countries in Africa, are bound to pick up the slack for China. Well, not Africa. I mean, there will be another China. Maybe it's going to be Vietnam. Maybe it's going to be Cambodia. Maybe it's going to be India. I don't know. But the point I'm trying to make, that I got on this super long tangent about, is the idea that I think once China goes downhill, there's going to be another country that picks up its slack. And of course, China won't actually be going downhill. For the people living there, it will actually be going uphill, because they will be getting better compensation and they'll be getting paid more. There'll be a better middle class. Because the reason why I'm saying this is because modern day China and its working conditions and pollution and productivity are mirror images of Britain in the late 1700s and America in the mid 1800s. And both of our countries, Britain and America, and also most of Western Europe, we grew out of our industrial phase. And before our industrial phase, the people of Britain and America were living, well, not America. America has always been pretty rich. Britain were living in conditions that are worse than the conditions of people living in other countries, like third world countries. So, other countries are going to pick up China's slack. And once we run out of people, once we run out of countries to industrialize, that'll be when robots take care of everything. So once we run out of countries to supply the labor force needed to propel the modern world's capitalist machine, that's when robots will take care of everything. Anyways, I've wasted way too much time expounding on my crazy theories about politics. Now, I'm actually not sure how hair curlers work. I actually do not know how hair curlers work. I just picked them up because of the story I told you before about seeing hair curlers on the girls who were walking around campus in high school. Now, if you can get 10 hair curlers for $1, that means it is 10 cents a hair curler. Whenever I look at an item that has cost me very little money, or has cost me, whenever I look at a item that is sold in groups, like a case of soda or a case of water, I always find myself calculating how much each individual unit was worth. So these are 10 cents. And then what I do is I imagine holding a dime. Is this a dime? How does this work? Can I curl my own hair? How does a hair curler work? Oh God. This should be a video. This should be an entire video. Guy tries to use hair curlers. Guy tries to use hair curlers. However they're used. And it looks pretty good. That looks pretty damn good. Oh man. If I go to school like this would be a nice Halloween costume. The hair curler guy. Looking sharp. This should become the new fashion. This should become the new fad. Wearing hair curlers. Like it's freaking jewelry or something. Yeah, look at that. I have dimes in my hair. How is a dime worth this? How does a dime get you this? Like the industrial processes that were required to produce this and ship it. Like, okay, so first off, someone had to invent this. Invent the plastics, which looks like two kinds of plastic, and then you invent the actual thing. And then they had to design it. At one point, I bet you this was probably a 3D model inside of a computer-assisted design program or a blueprint. And then they had to build an entire factory designed to make these. And they had to get the tools from all over the world. And then they had to train their employees to make these in an assembly line. And they had to assemble the overhead and the managers and the corporate staff that would guide this. And then they had to negotiate contracts between nations and through languages. And then they had to ship the oil from Venezuela and the Middle East and Africa and probably the American Midwest where they're fracking now. And then the oil had to be shipped in these massive oil tankers. And then it had to be turned into plastic beads, which were sent to one factory and produced. And, well, the oil had to be cracked and refined in a massive refining plant. And then the plastic had to be put into beads, which were probably then transported by rail to another factory in China, where they melted them down and poured them into a mold. And they rolled off the assembly line, and someone stuffed them in the bags. Or a machine stuffed them in the bags. I bet it was someone, a person. How many people have touched this? I know when we get something that comes in a bag, it feels like no one has ever touched them before, but how many people have touched this hair curler? Even in its current form. And it had to be shipped in a standardized shipping container. Then it had to be trucked from the coast, from the port, to, it went by truck. No, first it went by train to a distribution center. And then it went by truck, from truck to a Dollar Tree, where workers unloaded it from pallets and then put it on the shelves, and it still costed $1. My father used to say it like this: $1, $1, $1 indeed, $1 indeed, $1 indeed. Hair's too short to be curled. This will make a good thumbnail, that's for sure. This will make a good thumbnail. But it's pretty fun playing with these. Is 10 hair curlers all you need to curl your hair? It looks like 10 hair curlers is enough to clean the hair. Ooh, that smells good. Personally, I love the smell of PVC plastic. And other plastics too. But when I first bought my figurine, I'll show my anime figurines one of these days. But it was made out of PVC plastic and it smelled so good. And sometimes there are these toys that you buy at the dollar store, and when you open them, they smell really strong. I love that smell. That smell of PVC chemicals. It smells the best when it comes from the kind of PVC that's used to make anime figurines. That PVC smells really good, and I look like a total pervert when I'm smelling my, I know, yeah. Eventually the smell goes away, but I just had to. I absolutely could not resist just taking in that PVC smell. It's not it's not an ulterior motive. I just honestly love the smell of PVC for some reason. And like PVC pipes have that smell very slightly, although it's a little bit different from the kind of PVC smell that anime figurines have, but it smells so good. It's my favorite smell. And I really wish they made candles that smelled like that. I wish they made PVC scented candles. I've looked for them online, but no one makes them. Probably because that smell is dangerous for my health. But God, I wish there was a PVC smelling candle. I wish there was a PVC candle. A candle that smelled like PVC. I do like smelling scented candles. Sometimes I'll go into the scented candle aisle at Walmart and just smell the candles. And in fact, I do this quite often. I go into the Walmarts and I just sniff these candles. It smells like summer moonlight. A calm sea breeze. Cinnamon, apple, cherry, bonanza. Bonanza? You know, here's one interesting thing. I don't think I've ever heard someone use the word bonanza in real life. Like a bonanza of flowers. Maybe I have in that context. Now that I think of it, I have to have heard a bonanza of flowers, but like a bonanza of candles. I've heard smorgasbord used, but bonanza is a very rare word. So is behooved. The reason why I bring that up is because I was talking to someone in my class. It was my speech class. It was an honors speech class. And this guy was like as intelligent as it can be. This guy was smart. I can tell you, this guy was smart. He designed an AT-AT Walker in a CAD program, and it took him like 60 hours. And he was 3D printing it in the printing station at our college. Anyways, it was super cool. But he used behooved in conversation. I was like, dude, props. You managed to use behooved in normal conversation. Well, it wasn't normal conversation. It was an interview for a speech. We had to interview someone and then use them like a speech. You know, I can't take myself seriously when I have this in my hair. I can't take myself seriously. Now that I think of it, I've had hair curlers in my hair for about 10 minutes now, and I haven't really. How did I end up like this? What am I doing? Alright, on that note, I'm gonna end. I'll be back tomorrow. If you've finished this video with me, welcome to the club. You are now officially a member of the secret society, Illuminati confirmed. The secret society of behooved. I don't know. Oh, one last story. There was one time at a summer camp. I was laying under this, like, we had a stargazing night, and we were laying underneath the stars, and I was talking to this girl, and for some reason the topic of "it smells like grass" came up, and I saw an airplane flying overhead, and I said, "It smells like burning airplanes." It smells like burning airplanes. God, I kick myself every time I remember that. What What in the world was I thinking? What in the world was I thinking when I said it smells like burning airplanes? God, well, to my credit, I was so cold that I was very cold. I was shivering, like, struggling to stay conscious because it was so cold. And that may have affected my thinking, but that's probably the single stupidest phrase I've ever said in context. It smells like burning airplanes. God, what a weirdo. Anyways, thank you for watching. Read my books. They're 99 cents or $2.99, whichever one you get, on Amazon. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me and listening, getting relaxed by my stories and my rambles and whatever it is. Anyways, top of the morning to you.